Hello everyone, and today we're looking at something truly special. A vehicle that combines the elegance of a pre-war luxury automobile with the freedom of a motorhome decades before RV culture even existed. This is a 1937 Packard Truck Motorhome, and honestly, this machine feels less like transportation and more like a rolling luxury hotel from another era. The first thing that immediately stands out is how elegant this vehicle looks. Most early campers and house cars were awkward, boxy, and clearly built with practicality as the main priority. But this Packard is different. The front half looks like a high-end luxury limousine straight from 1930s Hollywood, while the rear section transforms smoothly into a fully enclosed living compartment. It doesn't feel like somebody attached a camper to a car. It feels like the entire vehicle was designed as one unified creation from the beginning, and that's exactly what makes it so fascinating. Because this machine comes from an era when automobiles were still built with craftsmanship instead of mass production efficiency. In the 1930s, Packard was one of the most prestigious American luxury car manufacturers in the world. Their vehicles competed with brands like Cadillac, Lincoln, and even Rolls-Royce in terms of prestige. Owning a Packard back then meant wealth, status, and sophistication. These weren't cars for ordinary people. These were automobiles for businessmen, celebrities, politicians, and wealthy travelers. So the idea of turning a Packard into a motorhome was incredibly unusual, and also incredibly expensive. The vehicle itself was built on a Packard commercial chassis from 1937, the same type of heavy-duty platform often used for ambulances, hearses, airport limousines, and executive transport vehicles. Commercial chassis from Packard were specifically designed to support heavier custom bodies while maintaining the smooth ride and reliability the company was famous for. Under the hood, vehicles like this typically used Packard's legendary inline-eight engine, one of the smoothest power plants of its era. Depending on the exact chassis configuration, these straight-eight engines usually displaced somewhere between 320 and 385 cubic inches, producing approximately 100 to 130 horsepower. That may not sound impressive today, but in the late 1930s, this was serious power, especially for a luxury vehicle designed for comfortable long-distance travel rather than speed. And honestly, the beauty of those old Packard engines wasn't raw horsepower anyway. It was smoothness. The long inline-eight configuration produced incredibly refined operation with minimal vibration, giving Packards a reputation for being almost silent compared to many competitors. Drivers often described them as gliding down the road. And considering this vehicle was designed for travel and living, smooth operation mattered far more than aggressive performance. The engine was paired with a manual transmission driving the rear wheels, and unlike modern vehicles filled with electronics, driving this machine required actual physical effort. No power steering. No electronic stability control, no driver assistance systems, just a massive steering wheel, mechanical brakes, and a driver who hopefully had strong arms and good patience. And considering the size of this thing, maneuvering it probably felt like steering a small yacht through city traffic. The design itself perfectly captures the elegance of pre-war automotive styling. The tall chrome grille, flowing front fenders, integrated headlights, sweeping body lines, and white-wall tires all reflect the luxurious aesthetic of the late 1930s. Vehicles back then weren't designed to look aggressive or futuristic in the modern sense. They were designed to look dignified and important, and this Packard absolutely succeeds at that. Even standing still, it has presence. The black paint combined with the rounded bodywork and polished chrome details gives the vehicle an almost formal appearance. It genuinely looks like something that would transport wealthy travelers across America, while a man in a suit smoked cigars in the back seat discussing railroad investments. But then you move toward the rear section and realize this wasn't just a luxury transport vehicle. It was a home. And that's where things become really interesting. Because the 1937 Packard Truck Motorhome represents one of the earliest serious attempts to combine luxury automotive travel with self-contained living space. Long before modern RV parks, luxury campers, or van life culture existed, people were already experimenting with the idea of bringing comfort and accommodation directly onto the road. Inside, vehicles like this were surprisingly sophisticated for the era. While exact surviving interior layouts vary depending on restoration history, these early luxury house cars commonly included fold-out beds, lounge seating, cabinets, storage compartments, small kitchen areas, and decorative wood paneling. Some even included wash basins, compact stoves, or primitive refrigeration systems depending on how extravagant the original owner wanted the vehicle to be. And unlike modern RV interiors filled with plastic trim and lightweight materials, these interiors were built almost like handcrafted furniture. Real wood, metal hardware, thick upholstery, heavy cabinetry. Everything designed not just to function, but to feel luxurious. That craftsmanship is one of the reasons vehicles like this still feel special nearly 90 years later. Modern motorhomes are often designed around efficiency and production cost, but this thing was designed around elegance. And honestly, there's something incredibly charming about that philosophy. The proportions of the vehicle are also fascinating because, despite functioning as a motorhome, it still maintains the silhouette of a luxury automobile. Many later campers became tall, boxy rectangles focused entirely on maximizing space. This Packard still cared deeply about appearance. The roofline remains rounded and smooth, the rear body blends naturally into the front section, and the entire vehicle feels cohesive rather than improvised. And maybe that's why it still looks beautiful today. It doesn't scream for attention, it doesn't rely on giant wings or futuristic gimmicks. It simply looks refined. Another fascinating detail is the historical context in which this vehicle existed. The late 1930s represented a unique moment in automotive history. America was recovering from the Great Depression, roads were improving rapidly, and long-distance automobile travel was becoming increasingly practical. Wealthy travelers wanted freedom and flexibility, and machines like this represented an entirely new concept: the ability to travel comfortably while carrying your living space with you. In many ways, vehicles like the Packard Motorhome laid the foundation for the entire RV industry that would explode after World War II. And yet, compared to modern RVs, this thing feels far more personal. That's because it wasn't built by massive corporations producing thousands of identical units. Vehicles like this were usually custom creations, often tailored specifically for individual owners. Every detail reflected personal taste and craftsmanship rather than mass-market design. And honestly, that uniqueness gives the vehicle real soul. Today, surviving examples of the 1937 Packard Truck Motorhome are extremely rare, which makes them even more fascinating to collectors and automotive historians. Most early house cars disappeared decades ago because they were expensive to maintain, difficult to restore, and often modified repeatedly throughout their lives. But when one survives, it becomes a rolling piece of automotive history. Not just because it's old, but because it represents an idea that was far ahead of its time. The idea that travel itself could become part of the luxury experience. And honestly, that's probably why this vehicle still feels so captivating today. Even surrounded by modern million-dollar motorhomes packed with technology, the old Packard still has something many modern vehicles don't: character. Because in the end, this isn't just a camper, and it's not just a luxury car. It's a snapshot of an era when automobiles were built with artistry, craftsmanship, and imagination. And nearly 90 years later, it still manages to turn heads everywhere it goes. And if you enjoy discovering rare and unusual machines like this, forgotten vehicles that blend engineering, history, and pure automotive elegance, make sure to subscribe to the channel. because there are many more incredible automotive stories waiting ahead.